Yes, big up people. 12th man's back. We're back again with you in the house. And do you know what? I've got a feeling this stream's going to be a lot more positive than it has been of the past few weeks with myself and Curtis, man. Curtis back in the house. Another Gooner to Gooner. How the devil are you, mate?
Oh, mate, like when you're on a lad's holiday and you just like you wake up, the sun's out, you got a Smirnoff Ice, you think I'm living life right now. That's how I feel right now. Like I said, I felt hungover the day after the game, and I never drank anything, and I'm riding that wave of emotion, man. It's a different feeling being an Arsenal fan right now. I can't imagine what it would feel like if we actually win the whole thing. But yeah, it's great right now. It's a brilliant feeling.
Brother, unbelievable. I really cannot believe what we've seen, man. And feels weird still talking about it on the Friday, but we are going to get into it for the first couple minutes on the show. There's a lot to talk about today, funny enough. And
Yeah,
because we haven't spoken for a while, it's going to be nice to get your opinions on it. But before we do that, first of all, bro, thank you very much for the raid, man. I do appreciate it.
yeah.
And make sure you do us a favor and sub to Curtis for those of you that are here that aren't from his stream. It's literally his in the title. So let's get Curtis up to 100k, man. He should already be there. So let's make sure we get him there. We at 37k the other night, and we're on our way to 40. So come on, people. Make sure you do me a favor, hit the like and the subscribe button. We're going to be talking about some transfer news. We're going to be talking, of course, the antics of what Arsenal have been up to in the last 48, 72 hours. And we're going to be talking a little bit about some breaking news in certain areas. So make sure you do me a favor, hit the like and subscribe button, people. Curtis, I've got to ask you, and I'm not going to give you any specifics of players and what you thought of the night and whether it was the best, this, that, and the third. I'm just going to ask you to sum up in a few words how you felt, what you thought of the game, and who shone for you, man, and deserves a mention. Talk to me.
Uh, I mean, where do you even start? I mean, let's start with this guy on the green screen behind me.
Oh,
I mean, for me, the first one's unbelievable, by the way. Let's not take nothing away from the first one. But the second one, it's one of the best free kicks I've ever seen because of what it meant to us as well. And the
agreed.
circumstances, it's Courtois, it's Real Madrid. You've scored one. We haven't scored a free kick since 2021. Martin Odegaard against Burnley in the yellow kit. And this guy's whipping it with his side foot in the postage stamp, top corner past Courtois, who for me is one of the best keepers in the world. He might even be the best. And then you run off like that. And I just sat there and I went, this is not even real. I can't even believe what I'm watching. Like, this doesn't even make sense. He's just gone up to a whole nother level in my estimation right now. Like, I actually did a combined 11 that day, and I picked Camavinga ahead of him. So when he did that, I was like, oh, you might have had an absolute stinker here. But anyway, we can edit that bit out of the video if we have to. You know what I mean? And I just thought, what a goal. And do you know what I loved more about the goal? I loved the fact that he ignored him.
I
Because
love
for
that.
me, these players nowadays, they're robots. The coach says do that, they do that. And that's why I think the game's become boring and predictable. And the fact Jova's telling him, whip it back post, and he's going, he said in the interview, didn't he, like the line was too high, Madrid were too high, I couldn't cross it. And he said Odegaard's telling him to cross it as well. You know what I mean? Saka's going, bro, if you feel it, like, shoot. Go with your feeling, man. And look what he did. Imagine if Declan Rice just said, look, Jova's shouting at me, telling me to cross it. Let me just obey instructions. Whip it to the back post. We're not even having this conversation. And the first one leads to the second one. Because if he just crosses it, the second one he's probably not going to shoot either. So for me, Declan Rice, like, not just the fact that you scored and how amazing, the fact you ignored the coach, took it on your own, you know what I mean? Had some chest and said, listen, I'm shooting. And look at the moments that you produced. Unbelievable. So Jova needs to sit down and relax sometimes. You're not a footballer, bro. You're a coach. Let him figure it out himself. There's too many individual performances to talk about, Dan. I could go through the whole 11 pretty much. I think Timber now, for me, is one of the best right-backs in the world.
Facts.
Vinny is probably the best 1v1 winger on the planet, and he just wrapped him up. Just did nothing the whole game. and this on the back of an ACL injury. I think Lewis-Skelly. I think that Lewis-Skelly performance was as good as Jack Wilshere's against Barcelona, and we used to have generational performance, considering Xavi and Iniesta. He's playing against Rodrigo and Valverde on that right-hand side, which is a ferocious right-hand side. And you're then being asked to invert into midfield, and you're playing against Modric, Bellingham, and Camavinga, and you're dropping double nutmegs on people, taking the ball on the half turn, and then you're on the floor with Jude Bellingham. And Jude Bellingham's a big boy, big ego, Champions League winner, your international teammate. You're studying him all down his calf. And Jude's looking at you like, bro, I was with you on international duty 10 days ago. And he's looking at him like, yo, shut up, fam. You know what I mean? I'll see you in June with England. But today, you're getting studs on the calf, bro. I'm telling you now, that Miles Lewis-Skelly performance is generational. It's unbelievable what he was doing in that game. Thomas Partey, I mean, how do you not give him a new deal after that? How do you not? Unless it's anything to do with that off-the-field stuff, you can't let him leave the club if he's still capable of playing like that. That was a ridiculous performance from Partey. And then you look at the front three. You look at the front three, all of them. I mean, Saka, for me, I thought he was unbelievable, considering Saka's like 70-80% fit. You're bodying Alaba. You know what I mean? You're not even sharp. He hadn't even started a game, and you're just ripping up Alaba like he's a nobody. Martinelli went under the radar, didn't get the ball a lot, ripped up Valverde in the first half. Merino, I mean, I did the watch along, Dan, and I spent 60 minutes of that game going, get this guy off. He's doing nothing. He's diving. He's rolling around the floor. He's begging free kicks. He's winding me up. Get him off. And then I think we're calling him Juan Percy now, right? That's his nickname. We don't even call him Merino anymore. Mikel Juan Percy. And he finishes like that and runs around the corner flag. And I'm like, that's actually a world-class finish.
And
you're a centre midfielder. Like, realistically, Marino's the best striker at Arsenal. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but he's the best striker at Arsenal right now. So, fair play to him. What a finish. Rayo was solid. Saliba, I thought, was unbelievable. You know, he's giving it to Mbappe when he's on the floor as well. And I'm going to finish off with Kivior. Because Kivior, when he plays that ball back to Mbappe, I've got both hands in my head. I'm like, this guy is a scrub. Get rid of him. Drag him off the pitch. Do a Nuno Tavares at Forest. Get him off. Send him home. But after that moment, that was a serious performance because he never let his head drop. Nothing happened after that. He was composed. Stood next to Saliba. Defended well. We never spoke about him the rest of the game. Handled his business. So full credit to him as well because he could have just collapsed from that point. And he stood up. So, and you know what? I'm going to give Arteta some flowers on here as well.
100%.
Because you say I never big up Arteta and you got an... No, we ain't got no agenda. We just want the best for the club. That was, for Arteta, a masterclass. That was his best night as manager. Night, day, whatever. That was his best night. I don't even think winning the FA Cup was as much of a managerial masterclass. I feel like that was Aubameyang went crazy, Emi Martinez went crazy, and individual brilliance won us that game. But that was... He made Ancelotti look like Mr. Bean. Like, he was standing on the bench like, I don't know what to do, mate. I've got no idea what to do. Your team is running all over me. Like I just said on my stream just then, they put the stats up. Arsenal won 12 and a half kilometres more than Real Madrid in that game as a team. 12 and a half kilometres more than them. We ran them into the ground. Like, they couldn't deal with us. So... masterclass from Arteta. Listen, the only slight negative of the 11 for me was I thought Odegaard was a little bit underwhelming again. You know, former Real Madrid player. I'm not saying he was terrible, but I'm looking at Lewis-Skelly on the ball and Partey and Rice, and these guys are thriving. They're having the time of their life. And I'm looking at Odegaard going, you're quiet again. You know, he took that free kick in the first half. Barely got it off the floor, and then Saka mishit it, and Saliba blocked Vinny's pass. And I just thought, we've got to buy an attacking midfielder next season. we've got to put Odegaard under a lot of pressure. I'm not saying replace him. I'm saying you've got to put him in a situation where if you're playing like this, you need to get benched. The reason they won't bench him at the moment is because there's no real replacement. You could put Waneri in there, but he's not going to throw a 17-year-old in against Real Madrid from the start, in the middle of the pitch as well. So I want to see a Cunha, an Eze, a Vert, somebody of that sort of ilk to come in and put loads of pressure on him. But listen, in terms of, as a fan, it was, I know I've waffled on there, but it was a dream of a night for Arsenal. And to be honest, I'm still not over. I'm still not over it, bro. Honestly,
Bruv, you've even treated yourself to some merch, bruv. What's happening
bro,
here? Do you know what I mean?
bro, do you know what? We finished the game here. I mean, this is the old one. This ain't even the new one. But I love anything burgundy with Arsenal. I'm weak for it. You know,
I
you
love
got
it
the
as
burgundy,
well, man.
you got the burgundy shirt behind you there with Bergkamp. I've got it upstairs with Henri on the back. So that
I've
night,
got
I'm
both.
like,
I think we might even have both of them. I love that. That's my favourite home kit. That. So I've got
something
that
real.
one. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
both of those are my favourite. The home and the away.
And the
They're
bruised
my two
banana.
favourites. Yeah, bruised banana and that one, right? But I look here. I think, yeah. I look at what you got burgundy wise, and I got the old school burgundy with just the cannon. I've got that as well somewhere.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man. Like, real talk is lovely. But look, you've summed it up so well, man, and you've articulated it great. I kind of have like a similar look at the game as yourself. I thought the four standouts, other than the obvious, which is Rice because of his
Yeah,
unbelievable free kicks. I think the first free kick, by the way, gets a little bit overlooked to how good that was. The curl on it in
yeah.
the whip. Like you say, Nicholas Jova saying, whip it in. I mean, man's asked him to cross it from there? Jeez.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad that he took it and hit it, man. It was a brilliant strike. Second one is
Yeah.
just the best free kick I've seen live and probably the best Arsenal free kick I've ever seen. I think that was probably better than Henri's against Wigan, where he asked the ref
Yeah.
if that was enough. I think it's probably better than Henri's free kicks and Van Persie's free kicks of old. There's a couple that I could probably put towards it. In terms of overall, I think people will look at Janino's and Roberto Carlos's. Maybe there's
Yeah.
some Zidane's or other people that Beckham's that have taken it. But I thought that free kick was absolutely outstanding, the second one. The Mikel Merino finish, by the way, has been overlooked and undershadowed because of the two free kicks as well. Because that
Yeah.
finish is better than anything that Kai Havertz has tried to do at Arsenal. It's better than
Yeah.
anything that any striker has tried to do since the likes of Aubameyang, who was our last proper number 9. And if I said to you, Curtis, that we bought a striker in January and he's got 6 goals in 10, you'd be saying, see, we needed a striker in January. And this
Yeah.
guy's delivered 6 goals in 10. Now, I'm not saying that we keep him there. I'm not saying that we
Yeah.
absolutely don't need anyone now. We're not saying that. But I think he's done a better job than Kai Havertz in that role. People laugh, but I don't think Kai Havertz at the back of last season was doing much different to what Mikel Merino is doing now. He's delivering. He's a target man. He's a focal point. He's better in the air than Havertz. That's definitely something that he's got an upgrade over. I think everybody else is pretty much similar, if I'm honest. I don't look at Kai Havertz
Yeah.
and go, do you know what? We need him back in this side because he brings so much more to his game than Marino. Maybe he does a little bit more work off the ball. Maybe he tries a little
Yeah.
bit harder at times, but I'm not too sure I see a huge difference there. So I think that really proves the need for a striker, which we'll come on to soon. I'm
Yeah.
totally with you with Saliba. I think when I look at his performance individually, he actually showed leadership qualities for the first time in a long time. I looked at his performance and thought maybe there's a chance that he could be in with one of the shouts for one of the kind of leaders of the team, like the Rices and the Gabriels. I know there's times where Saka, Jorginho, and Jesus have taken the armband, but it really wouldn't be a big thing for me if he was told, yeah, look, the armband's yours today because X, Y, Z are out. I think he could handle
Yeah.
that now. I think he could handle that pressure. Timber, I've completely run out of superlatives for him. I think the guy is absolutely ridiculous. I think he's a
Yeah.
robot. How you can be playing this amount of games with an ACL and consistently performing at left back, right back, centre back. I think he is good attacking, but defensively,
Yeah.
oh my God, he is ridiculously. I think he's world class as a one-on-one defender. Totally locked him up. Left back, I don't know if I know a better 6 to 8 months than Miles Lewis-Skelly's had in football as a footballer. I don't just mean for Arsenal. I mean, how you can come into the team at pre-season and be told you might get a couple of games to be a part of the squad and get yourself on the bench and be buzzing, then to bring on a couple of performances, hold your position down at left back, get an England call up, score on your debut, and then play like that against Real Madrid in a quarter-final of a Champions League. I think if you told him that in August, he would have told us all we were buzzing. That is not
Mm.
happening. So he deserves all the praise in the world. But I think the one I have to look to the most, other than the 2 Rice free kicks, is Thomas Partey. I don't know that I've seen a better individual performance from him, man. I thought he was
Yeah.
ridiculous. I thought he was outstanding. If that's Patrick Vieira, we're looking at that guy, and yeah, that's Patrick. This is
Yeah.
Thomas Partey, who for me has been our best midfielder this season. Deserves a 1-year contract now with his level of consistency. I think he's been one of our best players. And I look at the individual performance at everything that he did. I thought he was faultless, bruv. I thought he was ridiculously good. So I'm with you. Saka deserves flowers. Martinelli was actually more of a threat than people give him credit for. Marino, I've mentioned. The only one question mark is Martin Odegaard, bruv. And look, I don't want to start making this slating podcast for Martin Odegaard because I actually quite like
Yeah.
him. I personally do feel like you that we could bring in an attacking midfielder and maybe he can even be our future eight for Arsenal. I don't know, right? But I look at Odegaard's recent performances and they're starting to become a little bit worrying now, if I'm honest with you. The performances and the consistent lack of kind of creativity from the guy. Some of the weight of pass has kind of gone off a bit. Some of his decision making has baffled me. I think his
Mm.
runs off the ball are a bit kind of questionable. And I think the spinning around like Carly Minogue is starting to really get on my
He's the new Ceballos.
bruv, it is quite that pirouette that Sabas used to do. He does
Yeah.
that even more than him, I think. So look, I don't want to make it a negative because there shouldn't be any negatives about the other night. But if there was quite a
Yeah.
one question mark, it would have been Martin Odegaard. And I question the moments of players, right? Saka's brought moments to Arsenal. We've seen Declan Rice scoring last-minute goals and whipping in free kicks now. I've seen Saliba and Gabriel be monumental at times, particularly Gabriel from set pieces where he's won us games. I don't know that I've seen a scruff of the neck performance dragging us over the line by Martin Odegaard. And that's what I want my
No.
captain and my leader to do. And unfortunately, people say to me all the time, why do you still rate him? He's not good enough. I kind of disagree because of what he's done in the last couple of years. But I look this season and I'm thinking, I don't know that I can defend this guy much longer because I'm seeing stinkers after stinkers and quiet games after quiet games and starting to rack up how many good games he's had this season. And I don't know that I can count on more than one hand or maybe 3 or 4 fingers, to be honest, of games he's had this season where I can go, yeah, you were one of the best players. So I think we do have serious question marks there, man. And look, I want to go touch on into the second leg quickly because a lot of
Yeah.
people are saying it's over. One leg into the semis, you can't mess this up. Can we, Curtis? Can we?
It's definitely not over, bro. It can't be over. Like it's Madrid in the Bernabeu. If you said to me, name a couple of grounds in the world 3-0 up where you would still say it's not quite over, you'd probably say Anfield on a European night, the Bernabeu. You might have said the Nou Camp when Messi was there. They're probably the main 3 that I would look at and say, you can go there and get battered if it goes against you. And we also know that Madrid have had a lot of games over the years where, dodgy refereeing decisions, penalties and red cards. And it would only take Arsenal to get a red card in the first half and you're all over the place. Or you go 1-0 down after 10 minutes and that place will go crazy. So listen, I believe that we'll get through because I think we'll score. I don't see Madrid keeping a clean sheet. And if we score, they've got to get 4. We could even score 2 there. But I think we'll definitely score a goal, which will force them to score 4. But listen, we're Arsenal fans. We've never won the Champions League. We're playing against the masters of the Champions League. So I think we should get through from 3-0. But I hope the players and the manager don't go there with the belief that we're already through because you've seen Vinicius score 2 goals in 5 minutes and Mbappe score hat-tricks. We've seen these guys rip teams apart. So if they score early, it would be a lot of pressure. But I do think we'll get through because I do think we'll score over there. I mean, they were quite open the other night, to be honest. We could have scored 5 or 6. So with them being 3-0 down and how attacking they're going to have to be at home, I think we'll get a lot of chances against them. So I would expect us to get through because I do think we'll score, but it's still a dangerous place to go. If we can score 3 goals with Marino up front, who's to say they can't score 4 or 5 with Mbappe and Vinicius?
Well, do you know a quick stat for you, Curtis, right? I put this as a quiz question yesterday. Last time we conceded 3 goals was December 2023 against Luton, where Rice scored the winner in the last header of the game.
Yeah.
That is quite reassuring that if we're losing 1-0 or 2-1, right? The last time we've conceded 3, which is what they need to do to us to take it to extra time and penalties, was
Yeah,
against Luton. Now people might go, yeah, it was Luton, so Real Madrid can do it. My point isn't who it was against. My point is the longevity it's been since we've
yeah.
actually, conceded that amount of goals. My problem is, bruv, in the first 10, 15, if they go 1-0, I will get squeaky bum.
Oh yeah, oh
You know
bro.
what I mean?
If they go 1-0 up, that Bernabeu's gonna turn into like in Gladiator. You know what I mean? When Russell Crowe's coming out,
Yeah.
but nah. Listen, 3-0. Like you've got to get the job done. What you can't do is anything stupid. Don't make no silly challenges. Don't do anything. Don't give that referee any decision to make. Do you know what I mean? No studs, no anything. They've got to play a very smart game. I just want 0-0 at half time. Give me a boring game at the Bernabeu, but obviously Partey and those guys are on yellow cards, aren't they? So they can get
Mm.
suspended for the first leg of the semi-final. But I think Madrid will go for us, but I think they'll leave us a lot of chances. I think we'll score. I think we could even score more than one. Valencia, is it Leganes? All these teams. You look at Madrid's last few games. I think they said now, since the international break, Madrid have conceded 11 goals in 4 or 5 games. And they've played 3 teams that are in the bottom half of La Liga. So they're conceding goals left, right, and centre. And I've seen this thing today saying they're considering putting Valverde back into midfield because they feel they lacked his energy, obviously, like they got overrun. But then they're going to put Vasquez at right back. He's absolutely awful. I think Martinelli would tear him apart. So I think we'll get through. I think we'll score. I'm not sure whether we'll win the game on the night. I think Madrid could beat us on the night or draw with us possibly, but I think we'll get through. I think we'll score goals. I don't see them getting 4 or 5 goals if we get 1 or 2.
No, I agree. I think we will go through. And if I'm honest with you, if we don't go through, it's almost criminal. It's
If
like
we
a
don't go, bro, if we don't go through, he shouldn't even fly home with the team. On one
I
hand,
agree.
I've given Arteta the most praise I've ever given him. So I don't want people to say, I said if Arteta wins the Champions League, give him a statue. I don't
Yeah.
care. Like Champions League winner, mate. I've waited my whole life for that. Build him a statue. But if we get knocked out to Madrid next Wednesday, leave him in Spain and fly home without him. Honestly, I know it's Real Madrid, but nah, you can't
I
do
agree.
that to us.
I agree. You can't do that. And look, something that we will touch on before we come to that second leg is obviously tomorrow. I've put out a little bit of a team that I would play because I'd make serious changes. I want
So would
everybody
I.
fit for this Tuesday game. So I've kind of put a little team out there, which is what I'd probably look to go with. I'd
Yeah.
play Rare in goal. I'm not really one for switching keepers. I know anyone can
Mm.
get injured at any time, but you got to be really unlucky to injure your goalkeeper against Brentford the weekend before. So I wouldn't bother
Yeah.
with Neto. Obviously, Ben White comes in. We got to rest Timber. I haven't really
Yeah.
got an option at centre back now. I think Saliba and Kivio are going to have to play this one. And then obviously Tierney comes in at left back for me. I've put Jorginho, Zinchenko and Waneri in the kind of 3 in midfield just because I want all of our trio rested now really for that Wednesday night. And then
Mm.
Sterling and Trossard either side of Marino is obviously the only striker that we've got at the moment. What do you make to that team, man? Would you put something out similar or?
Yeah, I was just talking about my streak. To be honest, I actually went even further. I rested Saliba and played Tierney at centre back because
Oh, okay.
my only thought process is we've got no Gabriel, so 50% of our best centre back pairing is out. If Saliba got injured, you're going there with both of your centre backs out. So I played Tierney at centre back and left Lewis-Skelly in at left back because we have
Okay.
got options if Lewis-Skelly anything happened. But
So you play
honestly,
Kivio and Tierney, did you say?
Kivior and Tierney
Yeah.
centre back,
Okay.
yeah. And
Okay.
then, I mean, I'll be honest with you. Look, every Arsenal game they play, I want them to win. I'm not even that bothered about the game tomorrow. Honestly, if we drew the game, I wouldn't be up in arms. I don't want nobody to get injured. I hope we win, get out of there unscathed, and that's all I'm interested in. But yeah, I'm with you. The problem is, I saw this thing now, like the Premier League. If you rotate loads of players, they can fine you. Because they say that like you're influencing things in the league by sort of not
That's crazy,
It-
though, isn't it? Like you
yeah,
should
it's
have
a
a right
joke.
to
You should
play
be
your
able to do
squad. Do
what
you
you
know what I
want.
mean?
Yeah. The only difference I actually said was I'd possibly play Odegaard, because he's just not playing well. And I just think
Yeah.
sunny afternoon at the Emirates, Brentford, maybe that's a game he can play his way into something a little bit. I would definitely not play Saka. No chance Timber should be playing. And Rice. The problem he got with Rice has just had the game of his life. He might be just desperate to be back on the football pitch. But he did come off with a limp, although Arteta said it was just a
I
kick.
think Rice, Timber, and Saka are the three that I don't want to see, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
Because Rice and Saka obviously come off, and then Timber has just played way too much football. I don't mind Saliba and Kivior starting because you've got to put some form of consistency at the back at the moment. I don't
yeah,
mind seeing Erdegaard, and if you want to put Wanyeri out right, Sterling left, and Trossard through the middle, maybe you do that.
yeah,
Um, but I don't think it should be too dissimilar to what we've seen here. I think that back four should be the back. Sorry, that back four. Yeah, that back four should be the back four because
yeah.
or like you
I hear
say,
you.
Tierney coming in. Tierney's got to play. I think Zinchenko should play instead of Rice in that 8. Obviously,
Yeah,
Jorginho I think should play him definitely ahead of Party. And then I think Trossard and Sterling will definitely start because let's be real, they did against Everton, so I imagine that they probably will against Brentford. But I'm with you. I don't really care in
no,
terms of the
mate,
game. I'm so not bothered by what happens.
no,
I'd love to win. I don't care if we draw. I don't care if we do drop points. The league's done. It's done and
yeah,
dusted and has been for some time. It's all about now rolling the dice to win that Champions League. Now I know in the back of Mikel Arteta's mind, over my dead body, we're never going to give up. I get all that. But actually, if he's a normal human being, he will accept that there is a priority and it is eggs in a basket of the
yeah.
Champions League now. And going through into that next leg. Just quickly before we move on to Champions League, what's your prediction of the other teams that we might be able to get, and what's your kind of journey so far? Let's say we're through. I
Yeah,
love to think that we are, but we might not be. But let's hope that we go through against Real Madrid now. What
yeah.
about the other teams, bro?
I mean, yeah, it's looking like PSG and then probably Inter or Barca. It's difficult, very, very difficult. If we did win the Champions League, nobody could turn around and say, "Oh, you've had it easy." Like Real Madrid, PSG, and then maybe like Barcelona or something. I did the watch along for PSG against Villa, and PSG are, I think, with Barcelona, the most informed attacking team in Europe at the moment. Kvara, a player that me and you've said for months that we should have signed. He's unbelievably good. I mean, for 60 million. That Desiree Doué as well. They're calling him the French Neymar. He's ridiculous. Dembele's having the best season of his career. I think he's got 30 goals in all competition. And the dangerous thing with PSG as well, if we do play them, is they've won the title already. So if they are playing a league game, they can just put the kids out and rest, where Arteta still, because of that Premier League rule, he might have to play a decent team. So, but my thing now, Dan, is if you get past Real Madrid, whoever you play, you've got to
Yeah,
have in the back of your mind, we've just beaten Real Madrid. And we didn't
yeah,
just beat Real Madrid the other night. We annihilated them. We battered them. They were embarrassed about that performance. They're getting destroyed by the media. They're saying Ancelotti's on his last legs. Alonso's going to get the job. They're talking about selling a midfielder. There's all sorts going on over there. So if we get PSG, then so be it. Yeah, they are. Listen, when we beat PSG at the start of the season, Dembele was injured and Kvara hadn't signed for them. So they've gone up another level. But equally, they're quite an open team. They leave a lot of space at the back. With the home leg, we play at home first if we get to the semi-final. So we'd have to do a similar thing to Madrid. You've got to beat them and then go to Paris. I said on my stream yesterday, Dan, if we beat Real Madrid, I'm looking at winning the whole thing. Like if we beat Real Madrid, then losing the semi-final, all of a sudden that Madrid game
mm.
don't really mean much, does it? It's just a good night you had once. Like Arsenal
Thing is,
need to find a way.
I said I think we'll get to the final, but I look at that PSG side and on their day they can beat anyone. On our day we can beat anyone. I think the reason I think that we might get through is only because of the Emirates leg. And if we have a similar performance and atmosphere like that against PSG, I think we've got a great chance of getting to the final across 2 legs. Because if it was a one-off game, I really
Yeah.
think it's a flip of a coin. My problem is the reason I said I don't think we'll win it is because I don't think we'll get past Barca or Inter. I think they both Inter Milan. I would not want to come up against that defence, mate. It is, you talk about low blocks against Fulham and Everton. Try playing
Yeah,
Simone Inzaghi again in Milan, yeah.
yeah,
Barcelona, I feel like I'd rather them because I feel like we could get at their defence a bit more. But I will say, I think that they are an unbelievable side in midfield and the attack. So I think that this is the thing. People start going, oh, yeah, but then we've got, mate, this is the Champions League. You're not going to get Club Brugge in the final and Shakhtar
exactly.
Donetsk in the semis. You've got to play these teams to beat them. So I think that it's going to be unbelievably tough. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. I want to make sure we're in that semi final first. But I
Yeah.
do. Would you rather have Villa or PSG? Real question. Because a lot of people have said they want PSG over Villa. Some are saying they want Villa over PSG because it's only Emery and, we need one over him. I don't know how I feel, if I'm honest with you.
I would have rather played Villa. I know people are looking at the whole Emery and stuff like that, but you look at Villa this year. We beat them 2-0 at their ground. We were 2-0 up at home. I know we ended up drawing 2-2. But I just think we're a better team than Villa. I think people overestimate that Emery thing. It happened. Yeah, he beat us with Villarreal and he beat us in the league last year. But I think we'd beat Villa. I really think we'd beat Villa. I think PSG are a better team than Villa, and I think Villa are out. By the way, I don't think they're coming back from that
I
against
agree.
PSG. I think that third goal was too much because the thing for me is the second leg being away. Let's just say we didn't win the first leg convincingly, and you're going into that second leg. I think Paris is a very difficult place to go to. I
Mhm.
think the atmosphere there, they dominate the ball. They really go for you. I think it's a very difficult place to go if you don't win the first game. With Villa are inexperienced in Europe. A lot of their players haven't won that much in Europe. I thought they were a bit naive the other day against PSG. They couldn't deal with that. I would have rather played Villa, man. I know there is a. It feels like there's a story with Villa. There's, Emi Martinez and Unai Emery and Watkins nearly signed for us. There's a lot
Yeah.
of things there that you feel like can go wrong. I think if you're just looking at the better team, I think PSG are better than Villa. Maybe they're a little bit more open defensively. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans, they want to play the teams that are more open. A lot of fans didn't want Atletico Madrid. They wanted Real Madrid, which has actually worked out. People maybe prefer PSG instead of Villa because Villa quite defensive away from home. A lot of people don't want Inter Milan because of how defensive they are. But like you said, man, it's Champions League semi-final and quarter-final and final. You're only going to play good teams. For me, Barcelona got the best attack in world football at the moment. As a collective, I think those three are absolutely ridiculous. So sometimes it's good saying, I want to play a team that's more open, but then you've got to think their attack is so much better as well. I reckon if we get to the final, I reckon Barcelona will get to the final.
Yeah.
I think Barca will somehow, if they get Inter, I think they'll have too much room in attack. I reckon it'll be Barca. If you could write this story, it would beat Barcelona in the final
Yeah.
and get revenge for 2006 would
That's
be
what I want.
perfection. What I would want to see.
Same. That is the dream for me now.
Yeah,
Is to go all the way and win it. But if you said to me, who do you want to beat in the final? Normally I'd say don't care. But because
yeah,
Barcelona are on that side, I'm like, yeah, I want them and I want to, because we should have beaten them in 2006, if I'm honest. If it weren't for the red
yeah,
card early doors, we would have had enough run out of puff, didn't we? And if I'm honest,
yeah,
the goals are a bit ludicrous as well. So we need to go get revenge from that, man. That's what I want to be seeing. So I'm with
yeah,
you 100%. But look, there's some super chats and then there's some news that's come out today that we're going to break down with you, Curtis. So big up
yes,
to Anthony Clark for the super sticker. Much appreciated, my bro. Big up for Fabry as well. He says, I met you on Tuesday after you left the AFTV bubble. I just wanted to say you came across as a top guy, even off camera. I really appreciated the quick chat as I was heading from the Tollington to Arsenal. Might have had one too many. Big up to you, bro. I really appreciate that. That's nice to hear. And I really do appreciate that. Thank you so much for your support and also for the super chat, man. And it's great to meet fans, man. And do you know what? I
Yeah,
know a lot of people see us and they're like, "Oh, Curtis and Dan from AFTV." When they come up and say, "Oh, I watch 12th Man," or "I watch you on Lee's channel," or "I see you on Curtis' channel," when it's my guys, I'm like, that kind of means even more because they're actually not
mhm.
just seeing me on AFTV, which they watch all the time. They're actually following the other channels I'm on as well. So it really means a lot when people say that. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed the evening as much as I did. So big up to you, man. Max in the chat. Hello, my bro. I hope you're well. Long time no see. Hey, Dan, Big C. I want to say on this game, I woke up at 5 o'clock to watch the game. I predicted 2-1. Never did I think it would get that dominating. Big up 12th man. I can't believe Hassan got away with murder on El. Yeah, Hassan, by the way, is literally deflecting to everybody else when he was basically saying that Arsenal have 0%
Yeah, I
chance
saw
of
that.
going through. Bless him. I
Yeah,
love Hassan, but my God, he's got a hold of L, man. He's got a hold of L.
yeah.
Big time. Max also comes back and says, I'm calling it now, and may the football god strike me down. We go through against Madrid and PSG, and we beat Barcelona in the final. He's calling it now. Bruv, just quickly, if that happens,
Hope so.
I'm building Arteta a statue. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely. It'll be on the green screen for about 12 years, I think, if we do that. Bro,
It'll be the biggest
look how
achievement.
good we're feeling, yeah. Just winning one game, the first leg of a
Exactly.
quarter final, yeah, and we're absolutely buzzing. Like, imagine winning the Champions League. We'll be unbearable. They won't be able to cope with us if we win it.
Bruv, it is a madness, absolute madness. And look, shout out to all of you because we got 1.4k in here. Let's get the likes up, people. We've got nowhere near enough likes. Let's get that up to 1,000 likes on this show, me and Curtis. Make sure you're doing the same. Subscribe to this channel and, of course, to Curtis Shaw TV, which the link is of the title. And let's get him up to 100k as well. The next super chat is going to be the story I wanted to quickly touch on first from Lawrence. He says, Dan and Curtis, what do you make of Vinai Venkatesham joining Spurs? Now, this is a mad one and literally broke a couple of hours ago. I can't believe what I was hearing, mate, when this broke. David Ornstein is the one who has suggested that this. I thought this was a prank when I first heard it in the chat the other day. I was on Deluded's channel and I heard it and thought, right, really? Tottenham bolster hierarchy by naming Vinai Venkatesham as the chief executive. The 44-year-old starts this summer with the responsibility for all operations on and off the pitch. Former Arsenal CEO turned down other major jobs and be regarded by many as a coup for Tottenham. Now, this is a guy who's basically done a terrible job, in my opinion, at Arsenal. Some are asking what the hell he actually did do other than potentially feed Win the dog. I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to be doing over at Tottenham or what he's done at Arsenal that Tottenham likes. But what I'll say before I bring you in on this, right? What makes me laugh is that Tottenham are basically copying everything that Arsenal are doing that hasn't come to fruition. Well, what I mean by that is we move stadiums, they move stadiums. That we put ourselves into bet and try and win with a squad. They put themselves into massive debt. They go into the top four as a trophy. We celebrate top four as a trophy. Everything they've done has basically been the only thing that we haven't got that they've got is a Formula One track under the ground and Beyonce singing and AJ fighting. Now they're nicking our CEO, bruv. Like, what is actually happening with this club? What did you make of this when this news broke?
I mean, I said it on my show earlier, man. You know, when you've just, you've met a girl, you're not serious, you're just having a bit of fun. Reputation's not great. So, you don't want to take her home to your mum and stuff like that. And next minute, you see some geezer arm in arm with her on the street. You're like, well, you better be careful, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not sure I'd settle down with her. Yeah, good luck with that one. Vinai, you can have him. I tell you that. That's a strange appointment, I tell you. And listen, I'll give him some credit. From what I heard, he's quite good at some of the financial stuff. Apparently, he was good at like getting sponsorship deals, and he got a big deal with Adidas when we left Puma. So apparently, he is good in some way. But when you start letting him involve himself in the football side of it, that guy's clueless. That guy ain't got a clue. Like when it just said there on and off the pitch, I said, nah, Daniel Levy, mate, he don't care. He doesn't care. Number one, that's going to go down terrible with their fans, innit? Like you've taken the guy that we've just binned and you're giving him CEO, as well. He was only like what was he, chief executive? They've made him CEO of the whole club. He's running the whole thing. maybe he'll complete the job, Dan, and finally relegate them. You know, maybe it's an inside job. You
Bro,
know
I
what I
tell
mean?
you, they're lucky the three that come up this season are so bad, Tottenham and Man
Yeah,
United.
I'm telling
Because
you.
normally 40 points, they would have been right down. But I hope they does complete the job and he gets them down. Maybe he's a spy. But I
You may
can't
be.
believe that they are copying this. Like, let's be real. Someone made a good point. They had George Graham, didn't they? They've got
Yeah.
George Graham after us as well. They literally copying everything we're doing, man.
Gallas, Adebayor, David
Oh,
Bentley. You know what I
mate.
mean? They love a leftover from us. Still trying to avenge Sol Campbell. You know what I mean? You're right, man. Let's just sign Harry Kane in the summer, complete the job.
Facts, man. Absolute
Uh,
facts, bruv. Absolute facts, man. But look, I don't know that one when it broke. I just thought it was laughable, if I'm honest. And
yeah,
hopefully, like you say, he does an absolutely horrendous job, man. But look, some fairly exciting news. Andrea Berta in the last couple of games has been very much present. We saw him come on the pitch and have a little bit of a moment with Mikel Arteta. He was front
yeah.
and central of the screens against Everton. He looks like he's going to be heavily involved. His appointment, I think, is exciting. And it's kind of allowed, since his appointment, us to be linked with quite a few players. Now, the players that we are being linked with are all very good players as well, to be fair. I don't know what your thoughts are, but the first kind of stuff that I saw and have been reading is that it's going to be a big summer. Now, we've heard this before, bruv. It's going to be a
Mm,
war chest. It's going to be massive. And 250 now turns to 350. But what we've read here is that it is going to be a big summer. Arsenal are hoping to make a triple transfer swoop this summer, which would see them land Victor Gyokeres, Nico Williams, and Martin Zubimendi for around £200 million. Now, obviously, on top of that, there's been talk of other players as well. I wanted to start with the news on those three because they're the three that won't go away. They're the three
yeah,
that I've heard for a long time. If I'm honest, if you're not so much Gyokeres, that's been more of recent. It was
yeah.
Sesko. Now it looks like it's Gyokeres. So those kind of three are ones that are going to be quite kind of interesting, man. What do you make of those kind of names when we are linked with those this summer, bro?
Zubimendi and Williams, like they're on the list. None of them would be at the top of my list, but Arteta's wanted them both for ages. So I always say you should give a manager what he wants because then he doesn't have the excuse. I mean, I've said for a long time Rice ain't a six. I mean, ain't an eight. He's a six. But then after what he did the other night, maybe there is potential to be an eight. So he clearly wants Zubimendi. He's wanted him for a couple of years. I suppose the thing you look at is Partey's just played out of this world. You're
Mm,
thinking, if you let Partey go and spend 50 million on him, is he even better than Thomas Partey? That's the first question. Nico Williams is rapid, he's exciting, but I mean, I watched the highlights of the Rangers game last night and he looked awful. And Rangers
fair
were
enough.
down to 10 men from the first half. I mean, I don't like judging a player on one game. Like I said, Kvara was the left winger we should have got, but the left wing market doesn't look amazing at the moment. You know, Lookman or Williams or Semenyo, players like that. There's not an out and out winger that we're all sort of saying that's the one that solves the problem. I think whichever left winger we sign, there's an element of risk. Baena as well, yeah, his numbers this year are ridiculous. But Gyokeres for me is that's the one. That's the signing that has to happen this summer. Because we all felt it was going to be Isak. I think everyone wanted Isak. But I think with them winning the cup, with there being 5 places for Champions League, Newcastle look like they might qualify. I think we probably have to wait another 12 months to get him. So Gyokeres is the one. And I don't know what it is. Football has changed a lot, but I never thought I'd be sitting here excited by a sporting director. Like I'm looking at Berta and I'm like, why am I excited that we've appointed a sporting director? Like, it's not like back in the day you even really spoke about that. But realistically, since David Dean, Gazidis wasn't very good. He was signing players based off stats rather than the eye test. Raul Sanelli actually had a big reputation, but he had a dirty reputation as well, brown envelopes and that. Then obviously Mislintat. Then we've gone for Edu. I just look at Berta, I think this guy's got aura about him, man. 1 minute we're going for Sesko, Berta turns up, that deal's been moved to the side. Now Gyokeres, they were saying in January, Gyokeres is too old, he doesn't fit the profile, he's 26, we're not getting him. Now this guy turns up and it's like, yeah, advanced negotiations, you might be able to get him. I'm telling you, this guy's he's like an Italian mafia boss. You know what I mean? He's just walking around, he's at the games. I'm like, I think Berta could end up being one of the biggest appointments that this club has made in years, because I think to be successful, you've got to have an elite sporting director. Liverpool have had Michael Edwards. They've had that Texie guy at Manchester City.
Yeah.
You had that Maria at Chelsea, who had a great reputation. They got the guy at Real Madrid's meant to be one of the best in the world. We've been running around with Edu and Ivan Gazidis. You ain't gonna do. You ring up them guys and try and do deals. They are, look at this little amateur on the phone trying to ring me up for a big player, taking the mick. Berta's ringing up. Italian mafia boss. Arsenal are serious. We've just smashed Real Madrid. We had a small transfer window this summer, so we should have a lot of money to spend this year. We've got a few sellable assets who we can get rid of, I think, if we sell players like Zinchenko and players like that, and maybe I think Nelson could go. There's 4 or 5 players at least we could get rid of. I think it's go time this summer. I'm not often excited for transfer windows because you always think we're going to get let down. The war chest story, then we get let down. But I think this year, I think we're changing. I think something is changing at Arsenal. Even the other day, the Kroenkes sacked the Denver Nuggets coach.
Yeah.
Who won the championship 2 years ago because they're saying the drop-off from 2 years ago to now is not acceptable. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, maybe the Kroenkes are actually this ambitious ownership now, So, because
Do you
the
think
thing
that
is,
could happen if, like, Berta comes in? Is that the first kind of movement towards the future of Arsenal? Or do you still think they see Mikel as the long-term future of Arsenal alongside Berta? Because if he doesn't provide a trophy this season and next
yeah,
season we finish trophyless, I don't know if they will sack him, because I just believe still that the Kroenkes are just happy to be within top 4. And I still think they
yeah.
put the Denver Nuggets ahead of Arsenal in terms of their love and priority. But do you
Mm.
think there could be a world where Andrea Berta is the start of Mikel Arteta being put under more pressure?
Yeah, I do, because you got to think next season he's got 2 years left. So by the end of next season, he'll have a year. So that's quite easy to move him on. Don't get me wrong. I don't think they're sitting there thinking, yeah, we're close to getting rid of Arteta. I think they feel he's the right man, but I think they're putting a contingency plan in place that if Arteta needs to be moved on, it's quite an easy process. The sporting director's there. He's dictating what's happening. We've got a team that's ready to build, and the next manager just kind of steps in and continues and builds with it. So I think that Berta will either help Arteta become this manager that people think he can become, or it will either end him at the club. I don't think Arteta can keep doing what he's doing now for another 2 or 3 years, because I think the fan base will give up on that if he doesn't win something. I think Berta will either say, look, you're a young manager, you've got a lot of talent, but lean on me and take a bit of responsibility away from yourself. Let me deal with the transfers. I think that will either make him win trophies or it'll sack him. So I think, and obviously if they win the Champions League, then that helps. But it feels like we're a serious club off the pitch now, is what I would say. I felt like we've been a bit of a joke over the years.
Yeah.
But, getting rid of these Vinais and Jason Atos, get all them guys out, get Berta in, let's get serious in the window.
I agree, bro. I agree. And hopefully, one of the names that will make us serious is Victor Gyokeres. And I don't know how much of a fan you are of this guy, but for me, other than Isak, he's my number one. I look at the stats. It is absolutely phenomenal. Last year, he got 58 goals and assists in 50 games. This season, we're only playing 44. He's got 55 goals and assists in just 44 games already. This guy is an absolute machine in front of goal. And I don't think people are speaking about that enough in Europe. I think people look at him as a bit of a Darwin Núñez, Farmer League, everyone can do it. Well, my kickback to that is, Why is no one else doing it then over there if it's a farmers league? Why is he doing it for club country and in the Champions League? And why is he now consistently for 3 seasons put in goals and assists of over 40 to 50? This guy would be a phenomenal signing, Curtis. I'm going to be doing that all season, hopefully, if we get him.
Daniel. Bring him to the carpet. Bring him, please. Like, we have been starved of a striker. Yep. Like, growing up, Arsenal and striker, it went hand in hand, right? Whether it was Campbell, Alan Smith, that era, then obviously Wrighty, Bergkamp, Anelka, Henry, Aubameyang, Van Persie, whoever. Arsenal and strikers go hand in hand. What's unbelievable is that, I mean, we fell out the title race, but we've been in the title race the last few years, Champions League quarterfinal. We don't even have a striker doing that. Like, Saka is kind of up here, and then you've got Marino, and then you've got Martinelli and Trossard. Like, imagine if you get another 1 or 2 players that are at that Saka level, how good our attack would be. It would be ridiculous. And you look at that first half the other night, I think if Gyokeres plays against Madrid, he scores 2 or 3 goals. Look at them crosses that Saka's putting in and no one's there. Tap-ins, bro. Tap-ins for a striker. Listen, we all love Isak, but for me, this is the next one. If you can't get Isak, you get this one done. And he's going to cost probably half the price that Isak's going to cost. And all that, it's the Portuguese league. I don't worry about that because he scored 6 or 7 Champions League goals. I think he was top scorer in the group phase of the Champions League this year. Obviously, Sporting got knocked out. So he's done it in the Champions League. He's bagged a hat-trick against Man City. People said he was quiet against Arsenal, but the way he spun Saliba, run away from him and hit the post, that was enough for me already. And he scored goals for Sweden. They're actually playing Isak off the wing to keep Gyokeres through the middle. So that tells you how good he is. So for me, it's an absolute no-brainer. And I shouldn't be getting excited, but we're in a good zone at the moment. And I think we're gonna get Gyokeres. I'll be honest. I think we're gonna sign him.
Well, apparently he fancies us, bro. From what we're hearing, all these unreliable sources. I remain impartial. I don't know who's great and who's not so great. I have my opinions, but I'd like to sort of just share information. It says that Gyokeres has once again informed his representatives that he wants to move to Arsenal. Now, of course, I would absolutely love that to be true. And I do think that there is some truth in the fact that we are going to see potentially a player here that at Sporting Lisbon, Romano has suggested will leave Sporting Lisbon. He's going to be wanted not just by Arsenal. He's going to be wanted, in my opinion, by the majority of clubs in Europe that are looking for a striker. And unfortunately for us, Curtis, there's quite a few. Now, Chelsea are going to look at him. I'd like to think we're in the front run of the seat for that against them. But Barcelona would be the ones because obviously Lewandowski is definitely a player that's coming to the end. And maybe, people talking of Isak going to Barcelona in a couple of years, maybe they'll just look in the summer. I think they're going to look for a striker, if I'm honest with you. I'm not too fussed about Manchester United. Maybe there's other clubs in Europe that might want him. But for me, I think this is where you look and lean on Berta and you look towards getting him. I think this would be a phenomenal signing. 9 shirt, 14 shirt, give him whatever shirt number he wants and put his name on the back of it and I'll have it on the back of me next season. That's for sure. I'm a big fan of him, man. I think it would be great. In terms of the other two, Zubimendi, and I haven't seen enough of Zubimendi or Williams, if I'm honest with you. I can't make out that I'm someone who watches La Liga. I hear great things about Zubimendi. The reason he's not played as much for Spain is because they've got Rodri, right? So he's not going to get ahead of him in that one position. However, when he does play, apparently he's phenomenal and he's been exceptional for Real Sociedad. Williams, if I'm honest, I haven't seen enough of him. And when I have seen him, he ain't impressed just at club level. When I see him for Spain, I think he's brilliant. Now, is that because Spain have got better players around him? I don't know. People say Atletico Bilbao are brilliant and they're going to win the Europa League, etc. But I look at it right now and think, are they? Is Nico Williams going to be better at Arsenal or somewhere else? And also there's links that he might want to stay in Spain still. So I'm not too sure about the Nico Williams and Zubimendi ones. But I look at the 3 that are being linked at the moment and I don't look at any of those yet, bro, and go, oh God, I don't like any of them. Like, do you
Yeah,
know what I mean? I wouldn't be saying, "What, Zubimendi? You clearly want to go and get X, Y, Z." Nico Williams, you clearly want, because let's be real, left wingers, it ain't really fantastic when you look at it. To be fair, like there ain't a
yeah,
wealth of them. The ones we're being linked with, Lookman, I would probably be one of the ones I would look at. Alex
yeah.
Baena, I think, is more of a 10,
He
but he
is.
can
Yeah,
play on the left. Obviously, you've got Williams. Today we were linked with Anthony Gordon. I don't know if your thoughts on that one. I don't see him leaving Newcastle personally. I think you're
no,
looking at like £90 million. Rafael Leao was mentioned, but I think he's a little bit overhyped, if I'm honest with you. Mitoma at Brighton, again, like him, but does he get 15 sort of goals? Not really for Arsenal, in my opinion. So
yeah.
the left winger one is a real strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's weak. I mean, it's been one of the strong positions over the years, but just out of them, like you said, Baena's not really a winger. Gordon, I don't see Newcastle selling any of their big players. I think they're strong financially, and like you
Mm,
said, Gordon costs like 45 million. So they're
mm.
going to want at least, I would say, 80 million plus, and I wouldn't pay 80 million plus for him. Um, I think Lookman's an interesting one because I think he's improved a hell of a lot, and he's actually technically very good with the ball at his feet. And I reckon you could get him for about 60 million. So he's a bit of an interesting one. He hasn't really done it in the Prem, but I think his game's gone up. He was even ripping up Real Madrid as well. So he's one I'd be interested in. People saying Eze and Cunha, I view them more as like tens than left wingers. I don't think they're out and out hug the touchline wingers. You know, I would take Cunha and Eze. Barcola could be available because Doué's playing ahead of him, so
Oh, he looks brilliant, that Doué.
he's a joke.
God,
I didn't
what a
realise
player.
he cost 50 million euros though. I thought he like came through their system. He was at Rennes, and you
Yeah, he
see that
played.
interview.
Yeah,
See
he
the
played really
interview
well.
with was it who's the right back at Tottenham? Man? What's his name? I forget his name.
Porro.
No,
Porro?
not Porro, the other guy. Spence.
Oh, Jed Spence.
Yeah, Spence said when he went to Rennes on loan, he said this Doué was ripping him apart in training. He was like, "Who's this guy?" They're like, "He's gonna be on." They call him the French Neymar. He's just crazy. And then you see his goal the other night, crossbar and in past Emi. So it'll be interesting. Liao's a Liao's an interesting one. He's very inconsistent, but when he's good, he's unbelievable. But when he's
Mm.
bad, he's like, and they've had a bad season, Milan. That Reinders as well is another one. I think Milan's a team you could go and get players off them a bit cheaper this summer.
Reinders. I tell you what,
He's
that
good.
is the one, man. Look, I spoke about Morgan Rogers and Reinders. The reason I feel like there's more of a need for Reinders is because I think Morgan Rogers does actually play more of the attacking sort of
Yeah,
midfield role. I think he'd be brilliant in the attacking eight still, but this Reinders guy looks absolutely brilliant. I've got a lot of time for him, and I
yeah,
said, well, I'd take them both. Of course I would. But if I had to pick one, that
mm,
Reinders looks really, really impressive. Really
yeah,
impressive. And he plays in that kind of more attack-minded role where in the eight, where he's ball box to box. I think some of his attributes really suit Arsenal. And in
yeah.
midfield, bruv, I can't even lie to you. When people say, "What do you think we need in midfield?" I think we need 6, 8, and 10. I really do.
All three of them.
Like, people say to me, "What do we get a 6?" Well, yeah, Zubimendi's probably, if we keep him Party for a year, the least of my worries because I've got Party and Rice. So for me,
Yeah,
it's 8 and a 10 that I'm worried about more. Zubimendi coming in
agreed.
is fine if Party's going, and it looks like he probably will be, unless he signs. Then you've got Zubimendi and Rice, but then you haven't really got any eights other than Marino, who at the moment is our striker. And then
Yeah.
obviously at 10, Erdegaard, who people say needs some competition. So if we're bringing in Zubimendi, I hope that means we don't not get an 8 and a 10 because I feel like we need both. I don't know where you stand on that though, bruv.
I totally agree with you. I think now the crazy thing is when Marino goes back to midfield because he looked poor in midfield. Maybe he just hadn't settled into the league, but just looked not very mobile. A lot of energy in midfield is needed, and he's not. So you think we're going to have Rice, you got Odegaard, you got Marino, so there's three. You might keep Partey, I hope we do. And then Zubimendi, that would be five in three positions. So you definitely got to get another one at least. And I just think you can't leave Odegaard as the only attacking midfielder when he's so out of form as well. I think sometimes as a footballer, not having competition is detrimental. You kind of you know that if you play bad, you're still going to play. And I think Odegaard knows at the moment, if I drop a stinker, I'm going to play. I'm the captain. And who else is he going to play? He's not going to play Nwaneri in a central role against Real Madrid. So for me, Odegaard needs to be in a position where he's getting dropped if he's playing like this. That means you need a Cunha, an Eze, somebody of that quality. But I'm just not sure we're going to. I think Odegaard's backup will be Nwaneri, and he'll sign that Naipan, who they wanted in January. But I don't get the impression Arteta wants to put pressure on Odegaard. He's very protective of him. He's the captain. He loves him. And plus we need to spend money in other areas. And I don't know if he will, but I agree with you. If it was me, I'd sign Cunha. I think he's brilliant. He can play in the 10. He can play on the left. He can play up front. He's skillful. He can shoot from distance. He's got that bit of ego about him. Doesn't get injured often. I would go and get him. I don't think we could get Wirtz. I think he'll go City or Madrid. I like Eze as well. He's a bit injury prone, but I am a big fan of Eze as well. But I'm just not sure if he sees it the same way as that. I think he'll get a young player.
Look, I think that the midfield is a very interesting one. There's two ways I look at it. You either keep things how it is and you drop Erdegaard into the 8, to cover, and then have Rice in the 6, and then obviously you go and buy a 10 who is like a Florian Wirtz if you can't get him, Cunha, like you say, or Eze, right? That's the first thing you can do. The other thing you do if you are obsessed with playing Erdegaard in the 10, which I still believe Mikel Arteta is, then you've got to go and get an 8 because Marino is the only one really that kind of can play in there if one of the 6s is out. Then we'll have Rice. Do you know what I mean? I think he wants Rice and Odegaard in the 8 and the 10 and then Zubimendi in the 6. I think that's what our midfield will be next season. Marino will cover for Rice. Ethan will cover for Erdegaard. And then he'll bring in, he'll have Rice to cover for Zubimendi if Zubimendi gets a knock or whatever it be. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think Partey and Jorginho will probably go, if I'm honest. And that's a big shame for me. I think Partey leaving would be really quite bad, to be fair.
I think this is our number 8, bro, long term.
I think so. Yeah, and I'm not sure about that. I know he had a brilliant game on Tuesday. I'm still not set on it yet, but I do think he has a good couple of games there. I just need to see. I just think his attributes, if I'm honest, are more suited to the 6 still. But look, I could be proven wrong, and I have been in many times in the past. I think as well, what frustrates me with this midfield, and you've touched on this before, is we finally got a proper 8 in Xhaka, and we let him go. We finally got a 6 in Partey. We're going to let him go. We still haven't really got an 8 or a 10, in my opinion. I don't know that Erdegaard is definitely a 10, and I'm still not sure what's going to happen to the 6 if Rice isn't going to be that. That's kind of where I'm really worried, if I'm honest with you. That next season we might be going, Rice still ain't quite the 8 and Zubimendi ain't Partey and Erdegaard still isn't really a 10. I don't want to be having that conversation next season. And you know what I'm saying? This is why he's got to get this midfield right and he's got to get that striker right because another thing we ain't touched on, if he does get in Gyokeres, and it looks now like Sesko is not going to be the guy, which is good, in my opinion.
Yeah, very good.
If he brings in Gyokeres and he can't get him scoring, there will be some question marks over Mikel Arteta in attack because every striker that we've had has failed at Arsenal. And if I'm honest with you, there's only Saka that's really putting in the numbers. We've questioned Odegaard. Fabio Vieira wasn't that guy. We've questioned Aubameyang and Lacazette under Arteta. He got rid of them. Pepe. You've got to look at the youngsters as well. Smith Rowe, Nelson, Marquinhos, Willian and Trossard and Sterling and Martinelli have all been kind of question marks or have left or just have not developed. It's only Saka, man. And if Gyokeres comes in and we bring in Nico Williams and we're still not delivering in terms of scoring, then there's you know what the problem is, man. So that's where I don't want to go down that road because that's pessimistic. Do you know what I'm saying? There's rumours as well, mate, that we're potentially looking at Dean Howson. Now, we're not the only club to be looking at him. The rumours reported today from Ornstein suggesting that he might be a player that is on the radar. Liverpool are amongst the clubs. Chelsea have inquired, Arsenal in the mix, Newcastle and Tottenham also keen. He's got a £50 million release clause. I don't know that I can see this one happening. I think there's potential for us to look at a kind of another defender if Kivior was to leave. But what do you expect to happen across this backline in the summer, bruv?
Oh man, I feel like every year we buy a defender, don't we? And we still kind of it don't help when like Tomiyasu goes missing for 12 months, and he would have
Oh
been a
dear.
perfect squad player. I don't see this deal happening now. I think he's highly rated, but I think he's looking somewhere where he's going to play. He knows straight away, Gabriel and Saliba, you're on the bench, you're not playing. Um, can we afford to be spending 50 million on a centre back that's going to be on the bench? I just don't see it. I think there's a lot of centre backs this summer that might move. They reckon Mark Gahey might move, Tomori might move. I saw a few others as well. So he's a good player, by the way. Good player. I know Real Madrid want him apparently, but nah, I don't think that'll happen. Do we? I think I could see us signing another defender this summer, maybe like a versatile, because you still have this thing of when on the right side. On the left, you think if Gabriel comes out, you can put Calafiori there, you can put
Yeah,
Kivior. On the
Kivior. Yeah,
right, you're like, well, if Timber's at right back and Saliba comes out, who goes right centre back? Okay, Ben White, but then sometimes he's at right back. Do we need just a right-sided centre back as a squad player that comes in if Saliba doesn't play? Even if that's somebody who costs 20, 30 million. But I don't see us buying. See, the interesting thing now is I think we would have all said 4 or 5 days ago, Kivior's leaving in the summer. He's not good enough. But if he plays really well until the end of the season, is Arteta going to give him another chance and keep him because maybe we've won the Champions League or we've got to the final so I think we could do with another defender, just a versatile one. I'd get rid of Tomiyasu once he's back. I'm sick of these players who are just out injured all the time. Jesus, get rid of him. Get rid of Tomiyasu. They're on big wages as well. Jesus on 200 grand plus. Tomiyasu's on 100. So that's 300 grand if you get rid of them two. So yeah, I think I'm thinking if I wouldn't mind Mitchell, from Palace. He's a free agent. And I think if Tierney's going, Zinchenko depends whether you keep him, but his contract hasn't got long
he's
left.
going. I
I
think
think
he's going.
yeah, and he doesn't seem to even use him in the eight. So you get rid of Zinni, you get rid of Tierney, Kivior. Depends what happens. If he finishes the season well, maybe you keep him as a squad player. I wouldn't mind like a Mitchell on a free. There's some good free agents this season. Mitchell's out of contract. You got the Angel Gomez at who's he play for? Lille. You've got
Yeah.
Anguissa at Napoli. He's out of contract. Leroy Sané's out, although he's been offered a new deal, but they're saying he's not definitely taking it because there's a €6 million. It's €6 million lower than the contract he was on. So I could see us buying a defender and maybe a versatile one, but I don't think it will be this house and at 50 million. I don't see it.
No, look, I don't think Dean Howson will come to Arsenal. Real Madrid are looking at him as well, by the way. I hope they
Yeah,
do get Howson and Kanate. That means they hopefully won't want Saliba. But
yeah,
I do
yeah,
think that he'll probably end up staying in the Premier League somewhere. But there's a lot of clubs that are after him. And I think his dream is Spain and Real Madrid. So
yeah,
hopefully they're serious about him because defensively they need some depth. But I said this to DG earlier. When you look at what Liverpool have got, they've actually got 8 players that are just playing in that position. Now they can switch round, but they're not. Oh, he plays everywhere or he plays everywhere. They've got Robertson and Tsimikas. Whether you rate these players or not, by the way, Robertson and Tsimikas left back. They've obviously got Conor Bradley to back up Trent at right back, and they've got Konaté, Van Dijk, Gomez, and Quansah. Now, when you look at Arsenal, at centre back, we don't have the quality that they do in terms of their backups because half of them are playing at fullback, our backups. So we've
yeah,
got, you mentioned Tariq Mitchell. The reason I can't see that happening is because I do believe that Lewis-Skelly and Calafiori will be seen as the left backs next season,
yeah,
White and
yeah,
Timber at right back. And then to back up Gabriel and Saliba, I think he will be using Calafiori and Kivior unless Kivior goes and we bring in a right-sided centre back like a backup. Now, there's lots of
yeah,
talk on Howson. There's talks of that Harto, but he's more left-sided.
yeah,
Right-sided, Lacroix has been unbelievable for Palace. I think Milenkovic has been brilliant for Forest, Murillo as well. There are names out there. Ndika from Roma was mentioned the other day at Arsenal being
yeah.
potentially interested. I think we might actually need another defender in the summer, which is mad to say. because I
Yeah.
think more about who's going to be leaving. And Tomiyasu can't be relied upon. I think him and Jesus in January, you let them go to wherever they want. For me, I
Yeah.
don't even care if we don't get much money from. Just get them gone. Like honestly, it's crazy. We linked with Gyokeres, and I like Daniel Munoz if you're wanting to look at fullbacks. But let's be
Yeah.
real, we're not going to get another right back now. We've got Ben White and Timber. Gyokeres would be my number one, by the way, at left back. I think he is absolutely quality in terms of an old school overlapping fullback. Whether Arteta wants that or not, though, is a
No,
different
I
thing.
don't think it. I don't think it. I
I don't
think
think
it'll
he can.
Liverpool. He'll go Liverpool.
I think
And
so.
plus,
Yeah.
and plus, then what do you do with Skelly? Skelly, do you think Lewis-Skelly ends up at left back, or do you still think he could end up in midfield? Because the
I
way
think
he's
he would
getting
be
on the ball,
brilliant. Yeah, I think he'd be
yeah.
brilliant in the left. Do you know, I hate to compare him to Spurs players, but do you know
Yeah.
Moussa Dembele when he was in midfield at Spurs? He reminds me of him, mate.
And he
Yeah,
was unbelievable. He was Dembele.
I thought he was quality. I just think when I look at him on the ball, he just reminds me. You know where he glides through and he just strides forward. He's got everything
Yeah.
about his game to play at left 8, in my opinion. I don't think he'll
Mm.
play there because he's been so good at left back, but I think he
Yeah.
could in the future play at left 8. I really do because I look at what Dembele did at Spurs and I thought he was unbelievable. One of their best and most underrated players. But yeah,
He was
for me,
unreal.
I think it's going to be a question mark at kind of what he does at left back, if I'm honest. But look, there's news. Lastly, just as we come to wrap up, Kai Havertz.
Who?
um, people are people are suggesting that he might be back soon. Well, not soon, but one of the journalists, by the way, apparently in the press conference, I haven't properly listened to it all yet because obviously we jumped on when saw some of it from your stream. One of the journalists is suggesting that they've done the maths and there's 4 days between when
Yeah.
Saka come back to when he come back. Like he's apparently ahead of schedule. Sounds like its recovery's going well, according to Ornstein. Perhaps Arsenal will try to reintegrate him before the season finish if it's safe to do so and there's something to play for. But let's see a lot of ifs in that. They can't bring him back, man. Just let him have his proper rest and play next season, yeah? Surely.
Mate, I told you 3 months. Once these guys hit 3 months, they're looking at whether they can get you back in. He's already been out for 2 months, so by the middle of next month, that'll be the 3 months, and then you'll have a handful of Premier League games left, and maybe a Champions League final at the end of May. So, Havertz, yeah, I mean, I would sell Havertz in the summer. I know some people think that's extreme, but I think when you look at what Marino's doing up front, a £35 million centre midfielder, that tells you that Havertz is nothing special in this team. Also, if we sign Gyokeres in the summer, how can your backup striker be your highest paid player? That doesn't even make sense. Liverpool have just given Salah a new deal, highest paid player at the club ever, but he's their main attacking player. De Bruyne and Haaland at Man City. You can't say, well, the guy sitting on the bench that comes on for 20 minutes is on 275 grand a week. It doesn't make sense. I would get rid of Havertz, get him fit and sell him in the summer. Get him out. Because, look, if Havertz was fit now, I'd still play Marino over him because of the way he finishes. Even though I'll give Havertz credit, he's got very good movement, very good work rate. He always seems to get big chances, which shows that his movement is very good, but he's not a clinical finisher. And in midfield, he was a disaster when he played in midfield for the first 6 months. But the manager loves him, so it's wishful thinking. He ain't going to go nowhere. But for me, I'd get rid of him. I'd bring in Gyokeres and then go and get someone like Jonathan David on a free who would be a competent backup. But listen, if he does come back, it's an option. Marino's playing. There's no real striker on the bench. And who knows? He scored the winner for Chelsea in the Champions League final. So maybe he'd do it for us. But yeah, wishful
That's
thinking,
what someone
probably.
put, man, right? It says comes on as a sub in the Champions League final and scores the winner. Let's hope so. I'd take that.
I'd take it. But I'd still
No,
get rid of him after. Score the winner, then do one. Go back to Leverkusen.
Mate, I can't lie to you. I'm kind of with you. I personally, if anyone, even if someone said, "Look, would you take?" I'd go yes, because you
Yeah.
get him off the wage bill and you upgrade on, what it's going to be. I just if I'm honest with you, I'm just not a fan of him, and I never
Yeah.
have been, and probably never will be, if I'm honest with you. And I know that sounds really harsh on Havertz, because
It's
if
the
he went and
truth.
scored a hat trick every game, we might start to sort of change our opinions. But if I'm realistic with you, I just don't see him as anything more as a squad player. When you're on them that much a week, same as Jesus. Our wage bill, by the way, is just
Oh,
a mess, bruv. It's an
it is.
absolute mess when you look at it. You know, you've got players like Zinchenko on 150. He was on 20k a week at Man City. Yeah. Mikel
Oh,
Marino, I think, was on 50 or 60. He's now on 130. Like,
yeah,
how do we get this massive jump? This is what Burton needs to look at as well, by the way, because it
yeah,
ain't just about buying them. It's actually about putting them on what they need to be on. Because I've got nothing wrong with Saliba and Saka being the highest paid players at the club. But when
yeah,
Kai Havertz and Jesus are, there's an issue. Something's gone wrong. Like, for me, there's
yeah,
massive question marks over what Edu and Arteta have done in this last. Well, it's not really so much Arteta, to be fair, because he's not the one who puts them on wages. But I'm with you. I think it's mad, and I think Jonathan David's
yeah,
actually not a bad shout for a free transfer as a backup. I'd rather
yeah,
have Jonathan David than Jesus, who's crocked as hell. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
He's
Like,
finished.
so,
He's finished. You'll be lucky to get anything for him. But I think Arsenal, the mistake they've made over the last few years, and this is what you get with an Edu or someone like that, is they've used money as the way of luring players here. They've said, "Oh, we'll treble your wages, we'll quadruple." How's Zinchenko going from 20k to 150? That doesn't even make sense. You're on 20k, bro. There's 80k. Do you want it or not? I'm giving you 4 times more than you're getting. You're giving him what, 7, 8 times more than what he was earning. You got players like Luis Diaz at Liverpool on 55 grand a week. You know what I mean? Who's way better than these guys. But what you've got to do now as a club, and this is where I talk about the ambition of the club. Arsenal have to realise where they are now. We're a title challenging team 3 years in a row. We're getting to the latter stages of the Champions League. Who knows what's going to happen this season? If you go for a player now, the number one thing's got to be, look at what we're doing on the pitch. Do you want to be a part of this? And if you've got to convince them by paying them a king's ransom, then they're here for the wrong reason. Because I think I looked at our wage bill the other day. We had like 12 players who were getting more than 100k a week, and we had about 5 or 6 players that are getting over 200k a week. I think Jesus, Havertz, Declan Rice, Odegaard, and Partey were all on 200k plus. Saka's on 190, Saliba's on 180. They're going to get new deals at over 200k. So now you got 7 players on over 200k, and Gabriel's contract's running out. You might have to give him 200k. 8 players on 200k a week is ridiculous, and it's not like those 8 players are all world beaters. Do you know what I mean? Odegaard's contract got a massive pay rise after we'd originally signed him. Havertz got a deal he should have never got. Jesus got a deal he should have never got that much money as well. So, and then when you've got to sell these guys, how do you sell them? I mean, I've just said this, sell Havertz, but you would have to do some serious, you know what I mean? You'd have to pay him off some of his wages, because let's
yeah,
say Leverkusen wanted him back. I was looking at Leverkusen's wage bill. Their highest paid player is Patrick Schick. He's on 125 grand a week. So how could they take Havertz? They'd have to give him 140, 150. We'd have to pay him off 3 or 4 million to balance the wages. It'd be crazy. It would be
it's mad.
absolutely crazy.
I looked on Copology, which is one I hate this because you always get pop-ups on here. But
Yeah, yeah,
Havertz is on 280, Jesus 265, Declan Rice 240,
yeah.
Erdegaard 240, like you say, Party 200. So that's
5
one, two,
players,
three,
yeah.
four, 5 of them. You got Bakayo Saka, Saliba, Martinelli, who are all going to get offered new deals
Yeah.
literally this
And
summer.
Gabriel as well.
Gabriel on top of that. Zinchenko's on 150, which is mad. Ben White
Yeah,
150, Marino 130. Calafiori, see, he was on, I think it was something like 30k a week. Now he's on 120. How do you
yeah,
jump from 30 to 120 when you've not
yeah,
kicked a ball for us? Tierney's still on 110, as is Jorginho. Sterling, but he's obviously off.
yeah.
Tommy Asu's on 100 grand a week, brother.
Oh, how?
Ray 100 grand, and then it goes to Trossard. See, some of these that are on 90k, how is
Timber.
Trossard on 90? Yeah, and Martinelli's on 180. You've got
Yeah,
Julian Timber on 90. honestly, man. And then
If
obviously
I
it
if
goes
I
to
if I was if I was Timber's agent, I'm on the phone today. I'm saying, bro, have you seen what
100%,
this
bro.
guy's done this year? 90K, you got to double that wage, but they've got to start bringing them. And this is the problem. You've got all that, by the way. And like you said, Saliba, Saka, Gabriel, new deals. So they'll all be at 200. Nico Williams already on 200. So you've got to give him at least 250 if you sign him. Gyokeres, I mean, if he costs 60, 70 million, the wage bill's through the roof. They've got to get rid of some of these big earners. That's why I'm worried about Partey, because I think they're
Mm.
looking at it more as a financial thing. Like, ability wise, he's good enough. They're thinking, get rid of Jorginho and Partey on a free. You get rid of Tierney on a free. You get rid of Zinchenko. That's 4 players who were all on big wages. And then Nuno Tavares already gone. You maybe get rid of Sambi Lokonga. So that's the problem. That might be why. I heard from somebody the problem with Partey is I think Juventus want him. And apparently they're willing to give him like a longer deal. Like, and Arsenal, I think, want to give him like a 1-year extension, but he probably could get maybe 3 years in Italy. So it's whether Arsenal maybe want to give him 2 years or will he take a wage cut as well? Problem with Partey, we always felt like his fitness was an issue. So
Mm.
would you feel comfortable giving him 2 or 3 years at this stage? I'd probably give him a year with a year option, see if
Yeah, I
he'd
would.
take that, but
Yeah, I would. I would. Because the thing is, as you say, it's the players coming in now are going to go, right, what's everyone on? All right,
yeah,
cool. Well, I want 300 then. I'm Gyokeres. Zubimendi. Well, I want 250. What party was on? You know?
yeah,
And then like Nico Williams is like, well, I want what Saka and Martinelli are on. it's
yeah,
this is a madness, you know. It is so hard, man.
it
But
is.
look, let's do the super chats before we get out of here. There's only a few more to go. Lawrence, big up to you, bro. It says, I met Curtis twice out here in LA when Arsenal were on pre-season tours. First time was at the Fox and Hands pub in the Studio City, and then at the Bournemouth game at Galaxy's ground. Big up to Lawrence.
Yes, Lawrence, man. Good. Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah, old school, man. Old school
Old
Arsenal
school,
fan.
old
Proper.
school. Proper,
uh,
proper.
Proper Gona. Chad Tanya says, how do we approach Champions League games? We should stick to what we are good at, keeping the ball, press as high and defend hard physically. Great chance to win the Champions League. I spoke to Mo and Hassan before a ball was kicked, and they said Arsenal will do well in the Champions League over the Premier League because we're suited to it defensively. Do you think they've
Yeah,
got a point there?
yeah, great point, because I feel like a lot of teams now, they can't defend. A lot of them. You look at Madrid the other night; they couldn't defend. Barca concede. Yeah, we've got one of the best defenses in Europe, and that's, imagine if Gabriel was playing as well. It's a bit slower, and I think the opposition, they don't know us as well, they don't respect us as much, so they attack us a little bit more, and that suits us. We struggle against teams like Fulham and these teams that make life difficult and then hit us. So yeah, I think it does suit us more.
Yeah, no, I do agree. It's just the opposition is so hard, man. It really is.
Yeah.
Last super chat is from KV. It says, do you think Havertz is pushing himself back because he's now in the hot seat based off Marino's performances?
He'd probably seen Marino and thought, boy, I'm under pressure here. This centre mid's banging goals in, you know what I mean? Juan Percy up front. But, Havertz, just relax, man. There's no rush for you to come back. I can't lie, you know what I mean? But he can smell that possibility of success. He's thinking, I want to be a part of it. So I get it from his point of view. But the fact Marino's gone up front and done better than him, I think that says all you need to know about Havertz, to be honest.
Bro, it's no different, yeah. Say I'm a chef and
Yeah.
I've got myself injured and I can't come into work, and they put the pot wash boy cooking all the food and he cooks it better than me. That's basically what's happened here. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, your Michelin chefs at home, mate, and the guy who's been washing the plates, he's making better food than you. I mean, weigh it up. We don't need you anymore. You could stay at home. I
Serious.
mean,
I
crazy.
don't know how else to give some form of rationale here, but this is poor from Havertz, man. Like,
It
how
is.
can you be out for that long and not be missed? Like, it's It's crazy for me,
He's
man.
he's
But
been making beans on toast for Arsenal, man. You know what I mean? We ain't seen no quality from. What's Havertz cooked up for Arsenal? Missing sitters from 5 yards out, hitting him on the shoulder and that. Nah, man.
hitting balls with his eyes closed and all this stuff. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know, what you doing?
Real talk, man. It's just it is embarrassing, man. It really is, bro. But look, man. Big up to you for coming on. Always appreciate it. Always love these shows, and I know the audience love it as well, man. All the listeners. So big up to you, mate. And make sure you're following Curtis people on everything. Curtis Shaw TV on all socials, YouTube, and all platforms. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Let's get him up to 100K, and let's make sure that we get the likes up as well, please, people, because we've only at the moment got 427 and there's been
No.
well over 1.5K in the building. So let's get it up to 1,000 likes, please, people. And this will be my last stream of the day. I'm not going to be back later, so it'll be over the weekend now for the Arsenal Brentford game, and then of course the build up to the big one at the Bernabeu. So yeah, man, that's going to be very interesting game, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but nervously awaiting it at the same time, man.
Yeah.
What you got coming up, Curtis? Are you done for the day, bruv?
No, I'm on AFTV at 7 with Cecil. And then tomorrow I'll do the watch along. I've been trying to get more content out. 'Cause I see people like you, bro. Like I'm waking up in the morning and I come back and I'm like, oh, he's live in the morning already. Like Chris Hudson and that in the morning. Then I'm going on in the afternoon. Oh, he's live in the afternoon doing a show. Then I'm going on at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. You're doing another show with a panel. I said, right, I need to step. I mean, I'm doing one show a day and then calling it a day. So, no, man, listen, I'm glad your numbers are. The growth of your channel has been amazing. I remember speaking to you last summer and you said, I'm going to go for it. And look at the numbers you're doing already, man. So well done to you. But the work rate is top quality, bro. So you deserve it.
Oh man, listen, from coming from you, that means a lot, my bro. Thank you so much, man. And you're smashing it too. We all are. It's about helping each other with this community, man. And that's what it's about. I appreciate the redirect from yourself as well and everybody that's here. And yeah, look, we're going to redirect ourselves over to Carefree Lewis. Let's go and laugh at how bad Chelsea still are. Go and spam his chat with Dan Potts and Curtis Raid. 12th man raid, whatever you want to do. And look, we're going to get out of here, people. Big up to you, Curtis. Thank you so much, mate. And big up to everyone for your super chats and comments and interactions. And we'll see you next time, people. We're out of here. Laters.